Alright, so we got Philip Rowe versus Gabriel Green. So Philip coming off a 18-month layoff. I think that's from his Contender Series fight against Leon Shabazian, Edmund Shabazian's brother, which he started off pretty slow, then turned it on late. So he's coming in with a 5-inch height advantage and a 7.5-inch reach advantage. So yeah, quite sizable. I'd probably say Gabriel Green's small for 170. And he's versing one of the longer 170ers here. So we'll get into the striking of these two. So Philip Rowe likes to use his range. And he's definitely much better on the front foot. Lets his hands and lets his combinations off much more when he's on the front foot. So yeah, his hands will drop when he's throwing like any type of kick really. But yeah, for the most part, he likes to stick out that jab, stay at distance, throw teeps and kicks. For Gabe Green, on the other hand, he'll kind of just like come forward and look to land some hooks in the pocket. He likes to make it ugly. I wouldn't say his stand-up has that much strategy or structure towards it. I think it's more just coming forward and trying to land some dirty punches. His head doesn't move off the center line when he's striking at all, so even when he's closing the distance, his head will stay on the center line, and that's how Daniel Rodriguez caught him a few times just while he was coming in. Yeah, pretty much Rodriguez just caught him every time he was coming in. He will stand in exchange, like even when he's being pressured and like forced up against the fence, or when their opponents cut the cage off for him, he won't try to evade. He's a dog. He'll just stand pretty much trade with you. So Phil probably needs to watch out for that, because his advantage is definitely at range, and I'd like to see him keep it at range. We'll get into the grappling of these two. So Gabriel Green, he's got a very active guard. Uses a leg lock to get off bottom. He'll use this kind of inverted guard to isolate a leg, and then use that as to create a scramble, and then use that to get off bottom. Like, it requires a fair bit of flexibility, and mostly what he's using it for is to escape. But he always has the option to go for a commit to a leg lock. I'm not sure of the name of the guard that he uses, but it's some kind of inverted guard. For Phil Rowe, on the other hand, he will pull guard for some reason. I'm not sure why. Because he's no Brian Ortega off his back or whatever. So just pulling guard in MMA or the UFC, it's just not great. So I'm not sure why he does that. But when his opponent does shoot on him, he will use this standing high elbow guillotine, which is pretty nice. Obviously, he leverages his height in that position, and does that quite well. Alright, so how these guys win. So Phil Rowe's got pretty fast hands for such a long fighter, in my opinion, from what I've seen. He also has killer instinct. He'll go for the finish if he senses it. And he tends to have a pretty good sense of when his opponent's hurt or not. For Gabriel Green, he's got a decent chin, very tough guy. He's active on the mat once, he takes you down or you take him down. And he's got good cardio, good pace. He can slow down in high-paced grappling fights, but on the feet, he showed really good cardio against Daniel Rodriguez. How these guys lose is Gabriel Green. He will close distance recklessly, as we talked about before. Doesn't move his head off the center line. Also, he's usually throwing combinations, so his hands are not near his chin once he's throwing those combinations. But just in general, he's very hittable. His takedown defense isn't great. He goes for these low percentage inverted guards and guillotine traps that usually end him up on bottom. For Phil Rowe, the two fights that I've seen him lose was that when he was controlled for long periods of time on the clinch or the mat. So definitely Gabriel looking to get it to the mat. Pass the victory for these guys. So Gabriel Green, as I said before, get him to the mat. If you're on the feet, use suffocating pressure. Just don't let him use his length, and then try and obviously get into the clinch and get him on the ground. For Phil Rowe, just counter him as he's coming in, or as Gabriel's like resetting from a kick. I've noticed when Gabriel throws his kicks, he takes a long time to reset his stance, which is something like a long fighter like Phil Rowe could take advantage of and just start taping him or kicking his legs as he's resetting, and even make that reset take an even longer time. So if Gabriel Green, if you do get in a scramble and Gabriel goes for a leg lock, obviously first priority is to get out of leg lock. But if he's going to isolate and you don't feel like you're in too much trouble, just look for some ground and pound or some hammer fists if you're comfortable in the leg lock, and you don't feel you're in too much danger, then yeah, go for that. Also, just in general, low calf kick at distance, jab at distance, keep it at distance pretty much. So how I see this one going, in my opinion, both are fairly green and probably, what's that? Oh, whoops. And both should probably should spend more time on the regional scene, in my opinion. I just don't think they're UFC caliber just of yet. But yeah, there's no denying Green's toughness, and I think he is definitely a fighter, and he belongs in the UFC. Just I think he needs to round out his game a little bit more. But yeah, I think I see Phil Rowe just getting his range, tagging him at will at distance, especially when Gabriel's going to be closing distance. So say, even if Gabriel gets him down, I don't think Gabriel's top control is good enough to keep Rowe down for very long periods of time, like the whole round. I'm expecting Phil Rowe to do enough damage on the feet to get the judge's nod. But yeah, both are slow starters, so I think they're over on this one. If the lines come out yet, would probably be on. But yeah, just I think Rowe by decision would be my prediction. But yeah, I wouldn't bet on this one at all. Yeah, so these lines, it's a pick'em, which is absolutely accurate in my opinion. I couldn't really decide a winner. I just went with Rowe. If there's like an over 1.5 line, and it's like around like $1.60 or something like that, or if this... Yeah, I don't know. I think this goes to the decision. Pretty sure Gabriel Green doesn't have too many finishes. Well, he's just not, he's very tough. Well, he has finishes, but like on the regional scene. Okay, he's only been to decision once. Okay, alright. Yeah. But yeah, I just think this one goes to decision, just based on the style matchup. But yeah, I wouldn't bet this one at all, in my opinion.